everyone, and welcome to Teach Time in the Afternoon, where I, Miss Adventure, go through my ripe critical knowledge building system so you can learn how to bring critical discussions to your classroom. Because after all, I am your friendly neighborhood critical educator. And so I have created a system to help you bring more critical discussions into your classroom tomorrow or today, depending on what time you're watching this video. So ASAP is the point. So every week I go through this whole cycle of what this cycle means, and then I go into each of these 4 learning verbs because, as we discussed yesterday in more detail, this whole thing is meant to, RIPE, this system is meant to offer your students a way to answer their own why. Why should they care? And you don't have the answer for them. That's something they're going to have to discover. And these are 4 paths they can walk down to figure out why they should care on their own personal independent level. So it's a pretty cool thing that you can definitely try out for a pretty low price. So check it out below, the Ripe Critical Knowledge Building System. Today, we're going to be talking about enhance, leveling up the power of this knowledge. So your students could come to the table and say, okay, maybe I want to make this lesson better. Maybe there are things, because I've gone through the rest of this system and I've already examined it for weakness when I problematized it. Okay, maybe this is what I want to do with some of my time and energy is I'm really interested in this field of knowledge. And the critical tradition says that that's what we're doing. We're always, when you look at knowledge, what was I just holding up in the video photograph? The lesson we learned today was updated by people in the past so it could solve new problems. Yeah, this is probably true of every lesson you possibly teach. There's a history to that knowledge, and it's been enhanced throughout time. And so by studying how it's been enhanced in the past, your students might develop a way that they want to enhance it in the future. This is a different kind of looking at knowledge. Instead of presenting it as flat and dead and over, we're saying it's alive, it's breathing. Where's it going next? You guys are knowledge builders. Y'all are part of this process. You're part of this knowledge's story, and you get to enhance it in 2 different ways. Enhancers can enhance upon the knowledge itself, like I was just talking about. That's what this system is getting them to think about. And maybe they won't come to any meaningful conclusions. But as I've been saying, this system is not about finding definite answers. They might not. It might be really hard to research these things. It's less about finding exact answers and more about the message of this has been updated and you're part of where this goes, right? That's what knowledge building means. We build upon the knowledge. But that isn't the only way we can enhance. So we can enhance the knowledge itself, or after going through this whole process and getting to know it really well, getting to know its strengths, imagining what it can do, what different things it could do than has already been done, looking for its weaknesses, getting to know, hey, every time I use this piece of knowledge, it's difficult. For whatever reason, it's a struggle. Things are always a struggle. So when they get to know the problems with this knowledge, they'll get to know it better. You know, there's a difference between you have different problems when you throw a baseball or you throw a bowling ball, okay? Depending on what you're doing, you're going to have different problems. Athletes have challenges in their own fields, right? Even though they love their field, they love what they do, but they know that part of it is problem solving. They have to figure out how this baseball, how to, make it twist. What are those called? Spiral throw. That's not it. Curve balls. Touchdown. There it was. Sports for all you sports fans. Woo. I know some stuff. Okay, so they know their problems well, is what I'm saying. That's why they are masters of their craft. They know the great things that their sport does, but they also know that it is a struggle to do their sport. They face many problems. And I bet they're constantly working on enhancing those problems, trying to overcome and get around them in different ways, because that's ultimately why we problematize in the first place. There are problems that we can eliminate from human history. For example, I grew up in Texas. I moved to Colorado. I thought every place in the United States had air conditioning. I thought, this is the 2020s. Air conditioning is a human right, which hashtag air conditioning is a human right. Anyway, and then I move into my first apartment. Let me say, we are a mile high. The sun is hotter here than in Texas. Yes, it's humid in Texas, and so that's worse. The heat is worse in Texas, no doubt. But it is hot in Colorado. Anyway, I thought we had eliminated the issue of air conditioning in buildings. I thought that was a given. It is not, apparently. It is not. And my point is, it could be. We could eliminate the issue of heating and cooling indoors. We have the solution for this problem. It can become invisible, like it was invisible to me. I thought we'd solved that already. Nope. Okay. We should do it worldwide too, by the way. I'm not just saying it should be an American right. No. Can we give hot people some flippin' air conditioning? Okay. Anyway, seems like a problem we've already solved. This is my point. So we can eliminate, and athletes know this, right? If they trace the knowledge of their sport, they know that there are problems in the sport that are no longer a problem. They've been solved or enhanced at the very least, right? Some have been eliminated entirely, but some were still working to make the problem lesser and lesser, right? And maybe some controversial, but like football, the helmets, are they doing their job? Or will we have to rewrite the rules to solve that problem? I think yes. We're not thrilled about that, but we got to enhance football, y'all. I think that's pretty clear. If it's going to survive, it'll have to be enhanced. That is the way of human life, my friends. It either enhances or gets left in the dust. So let's teach our kids how to do that. So we talked about enhancing knowledge itself, but also, I don't think I said, we can enhance knowledge, but we can also use knowledge right now as it is to enhance our lives. So that's the other piece. I don't think I ever said that. I got you. I come around to my ideas eventually. Okay, so let's figure out, how can we teach? This sounds great, Sarah. We're on board. We want to teach our kids to be enhancers. Great. Let's get some tips from our knowledge of the people, by the people, for the people, and see what our good critical thinking friends have to say. Who will it be today? It will be this person. Who is this person? It's Paulo Freire. Hooray. One of my favorite books. Perhaps my favorite book. Pedagogy the Pressed. You should read it. If you're like, dang, she's saying a lot of stuff that I really like. Guess where I first got these ideas? It was this book. Though this book, I have recommended it to people, and it's fair. It's pretty, it's a little theoretical. It's kind of tough language. So if you're super digging what I'm saying, and you're like, maybe I shouldn't jump right into the deeper theory stuff, because give it a go. Absolutely give it a go. But if you start reading it and you're like, oof, yeah, maybe I should start a little simpler. He also talked a book with Miles Horton, another fantastic educator. And it has so many nuggets from this that he talks about to bring into your classroom in much more conversational ways. And that is called We Make the Road by Walking. All right. Let's see what he had to say here. All development is transformation. Not all transformation is development. Say it again, Paulo. All development is transformation. Not all transformation is a development. This is facts. This is facts. So this is a part of being an enhancer, because that's going to be the first thing critics say is, well, if you just try and fix everything, there's some good stuff. And yes, critics, I hear you. You've been heard. That's why enhancement is last and revere is first. So that first we can say, what is good about this that we want to maintain? What is essential that we need to keep as part of this knowledge? What makes math math? You see, we can't enhance until we know what good math does, right? And those are important things. Okay, if I want to make math better, I got to really get to know math. Do you see how this can ignite a new kind of passion in your students? So don't worry. This is a huge part of the enhancement process. It's making sure, to the best of our ability, that we're not changing things unnecessarily, that we're not wasting our time on projects that don't really need changing, right? Are there some things? There are a million gazillion things we can do right now, but we've got to prioritize. We are going to die. Spoiler alert. We are on limited time, my friends. We don't want to be wasting our time on little things that don't really need changing when there are great things that do. So yes, relax, critics. I hear you. I hear you. And what you're saying is totally valid. I agree. In fact, I used the example in the past. Check out my past videos. There's good stuff in there. About, I believe it was the Soviet Union. I should have looked it up after I said it, because here I am again saying information that I'm not exactly sure if it's correct. But I believe it was the Soviet Union who they wanted to get rid of everything. Get rid of everything from the West. And so they got rid of clocks, I believe. They tried to change clocks. But look, clocks are clocks. Whatever. Clocks aren't like it wasn't necessary. And it ended up not being as good anyway. And so sometimes there are things like that, right? Where it's like, oh, not all transformation is development. Okay. So that's at the heart of what we learn and what we want to pass on to our students is this message. This has to be central to what we do. And in fact, it's part of my learning touchstones. I won't be able to pull it up right now, the exact language or touchstone tag or anything, the little number at the bottom. But I talk about this is it will be a struggle to decide what things about the lesson can't change. It will be a struggle and we're going to mess up. You will make mistakes. People will make mistakes and change something that shouldn't have been changed. People will make mistakes and leave something in that should have been taken out. But after both of those facts are hit, then the next one is, but we will figure it out. We can figure it out. We have the ability to fix those mistakes when we do them. Okay. All right. This whole project is this is knowledge about knowledge. It's not a definitive guide by any means, but this is like a guide to the video game. If school was a video game, I mean, heck, my whole little thing is take a critical pause, right? So as if school is a video game and we can hit pause and say freeze. Okay, let's talk about the plot that's happening to these characters in this video game. Let's talk about what's happening instead of just living it. Let's pause. And so the right video game guide. It's like that. It's giving you help. And again, it's not the official guide to knowledge. No, this is my try. It's my attempt. I hope you like it. Make it better. Help me make it better. We're doing this together. It's a project of the people, by the people, for the people, after all. But because this is like a guide for a video game, we're giving them knowledge about knowledge. And so, just like knowing the rules to a video game, when you know how your skills work, when you know the paths that are possible to go down. And if you know, hey, there are two like, dangerous, spooky paths in whatever spooky video game you're playing. Oh, God, I don't know. But if you know that there are those paths that you might accidentally end, if you've read the guide ahead of time and been like, oh no, okay, if I go down that certain path, oh, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough level or whatever. But if you know there's a way out and you don't just automatically die, if you know that there's no point going down that path, then you'll quit the game and go back to your last saved place, right? That's what you do. If there was no point going down that path, you wouldn't go down it. But this guide is meant to help people discover, hey, when you're enhancing, you might end up on a wrong path, but you can always come back. Okay, no need to shut off the video game. Keep playing. Keep playing. You'll be a better player when you know this stuff, right? You won't just give up. Or, I mean, you could have just given up immediately. If you didn't have the guide at all, and you go down this path and it feels impossible to beat, you might stop playing the game altogether. If you're like, I have gone down this path again and again, and I cannot beat this level's impossible, I'm giving up on the game. That's what we don't want. How often has that happened to us with knowledge? We didn't feel a part of its story. We didn't feel as if going down this level was worth it. But if they have a guide that's like, oh my gosh, I hit this, and this, try this, this is possible. We can do this. It says there's a way to beat this level. And maybe I don't think I'm wrong. I think historically we can say, yeah, people enhanced the wrong thing. And yeah, people left things in when they should have taken it out. And I don't think it's crazy to say it'll happen again. So, am I right? Am I wrong? Yeah, I think it's commonsensical. Yeah? But take issue with it. I'd be happy to hear it. So, I'm excited about this. This is good. It also says, let me say this last thing, that this presents progress as a process. Progress don't happen like that, okay? We don't just wake up one day and the problem's been solved. No. With the first step, you realize, oh my gosh, there's more problems on the horizon. We've talked about this before. I believe with Paulo Freire, he might have already had an enhancement one. He's just so great. We're going to be getting a lot of him. And we're not going to complain about it because he's the best. We really like him. I believe it was an enhancement when we talked about last week how he has another great quote about with every mountain peak, you realize at the top of that mountain, you realize, oh my gosh, there's another mountain peak. Welcome to human life, my friend. Thank you, Paulo Freire, on this lovely Friday. Freire Fridays. So far, that has happened a couple of times. And I feel good about it because it's enhancing my life. Is it enhancing your life? Okay, awesome. So I just talked a lot about how this system can enhance your classroom. So bring it to your classroom, enhance what you're doing, because you're already, honey, don't I know it, that you're already doing a lot of stuff that I can revere. I know I would revere so much of what you're doing in your classroom. But I also imagine that there's space, right, for stuff that there are weaknesses. In all of our classrooms, there are weaknesses. And this particular weakness is not your fault. This one's not your fault. Our school systems weren't designed for critical learning. They just weren't. So it's not your fault. So let the system enhance your classroom. Because, yeah, I revere you, baby. You're awesome. So keep enhancing your students' lives out there by helping them realize that they can enhance knowledge and knowledge can enhance their lives. Thanks so much for joining me. I will see you next week for more Teach Time in the afternoon. Bye.